Here on a Wednesday. There's been a lot of news today. Let me give you a little bit of a recap, and then we'll get over here. We got some phone calls. Greg, you'll be next, so hang in there, buddy. I'll give you just the surface of the headlines. First up, the Senate failed today to try to clip or stop the Epic Fury operation with this War Powers Act resolution. It was by Senate standards, a pretty big vote, 53-47, with the Republicans all voting to continue to support the operation. The operation itself is going swimmingly. Everything's working great. Our military is the most impressive fighting force in the world, maybe the history of the world. We have the Kurds today decided to form well, they had been working on this, but they actually began a ground operation to get on the ground and assist the Iranian people in overthrowing the mullahs. There is an amazing mix of cultures and peoples that are all fighting in the same direction to rid the world of this snake, of this pariah, of this evil administration. And it's a good thing. Ultimately, there's going to be great dividends, but we're not there yet. There's still going to be missiles. There's still going to be drones. There's still going to be potential terror attacks. There's no telling what else the fallout will be. As for the oil markets, they seem to be heading towards stabilization, short of any other disruptive events. A lot of that stuff, the fears have subsided over the flow, because again, the Trump administration had a plan for it. So there've been a lot of little events. There was an incident in the Senate. And the only reason usually when these protesters get inside a hearing in the United States Capitol, it's just not worth giving them a whole lot of publicity. Some guy who's a former Marine and a Green Party candidate, he's turned into an activist. And I don't know, what are the rules on continuing to wear your uniform after you're out of service, especially to commit a political protest? So this guy got in his dress blues, went to this hearing, and jumped up, started screaming. Well, what made it fascinating was a former Navy SEAL and U.S. Senator and former Navy SEAL Tim Sheehy got involved in it, and he got up and helped manhandle this guy and get him out of the room with the Capitol Police. This is kind of what it sounded like when they finally got near the door.
Out. No one wants to fight for Israel.
His hand. Oh.
He had his arm kind of hooked on the door so they couldn't get him out. Pretty good move by this dude. He's another one of these anti-Semitic people that are so hyper-focused on. Well, it got ugly for a minute. They finally got him out of there. Anyway, so there was that incident on the Capitol today. And there's that. Again, as far as how it's working. And I started the show saying that the effort of our military has almost been flawless. If by some estimates, we're 2 weeks ahead of schedule for our portion of this. And don't forget, this is a multinational effort. The Israelis are doing their part. We're doing our part. The Arab nations are doing their part. The Europeans are finally now stepping up. And the success breeds success model is all about that. If it's working and people see the potential and the peace that could break out, then the freedom for the people there and lowering of tensions in the region, this winds up being, this is like, and I said this on Saturday when the conflict first started and we broke into coverage and we're doing our coverage live on Saturday. For me, in my lifetime, this is the Berlin Wall thing all over again. This is when it fell. All of Europe did change after that. Not necessarily all these countries got better, but most did. Most got out of the grip of the Soviet Union. The threat to us from the Cold War just subsided. It turned into a different threat. Russia's still kind of a thug country. But it is what it is on the world stage. And now we're seeing a map that's been dominated by this Shiite revolution since 1979. Is the whole calculus will completely change. And as many have analyzed, it clips the Chinese on their cheap energy, black market energy resources from here. It cuts the Russians off from a drone program that was very sophisticated and very effective for them. It exposed Chinese and Russian military hardware and capability. Just it evaporated. It's worthless, and they've been bluffing on the world stage. That recalculates things for even other geographical regions as far as our projection of strength. The free flow of energy and the freeing of that product at a time where energy is at a premium is going to pay dividends for us for years to come. But we got to get through the hard part. And so far, our military is making it look easy, and now the Kurds are on the ground, and everything's gone crazy. I have a question to ask the audience, and we'll get to it in a minute, and I'll let you think about it, and then I'll go to Greg. What do we call a war? And I mean that sincerely. I don't know that I have an answer to it because this has all the components of war, but does it have to last a certain length of time for it to become a war? In other words, going in and using the military with precision to get Maduro, was that a war? Because we're not at war with Venezuela, but it was an action, right? Hitting the Iranian nuclear facilities and taking out their nuclear capability, at least for that amount of time. What was that back last June, last year? Was that a war? Because everybody at that time was saying, oh, we're at war with Iran. I mean, immediately that's all I could hear. I was traveling overseas when that happened, surrounded by people, surrounded by Muslims, getting all these warnings from the State Department to be on the lookout. And that didn't turn into a war. The question is this going to be a war? Because Iraq was a war, Afghanistan was a war, Vietnam was a war. Those were deeply protracted. They went on for years. They were hard to get out of. If this is over in 3 weeks and we pull back and let the Iranians take their country back, let the Kurds do whatever they got to do, are we at war? Is it really a war? It looks like a war. It feels like a war. We're dropping bombs like a war. If you listen to the Pentagon itself, this is the strongest deployment of air assets in the history of the world. We've dropped twice the number of bombs that we did in the shock and awe campaign in Iraq. Those went sideways. Some wars go well. World War II was a war. And I don't know anybody can call here and tell me that that was not a just effort because the world got saved from the maniac in Germany. And of course, all the other theaters from Mussolini and from Japan. And tell me that didn't wind up benefiting. We're now trading partners with Japan. They make awesome vehicles. They're building stuff. They're building vehicles. Both the Germans and the Japanese are building cars in Alabama. My grandfather would roll over in his grave because he fought in World War II with this situation. So what is a war? I don't think there's a single definition because you can't really attach a timeline to it. A war, I guess, could last a week. It could last a decade. And we don't know exactly where this is going, but it doesn't feel, nothing about this feels like we're going to be on the ground and involved in trying to manage Iran or build a nation there. We don't need to. They already have a culture and a people that can build that very much, thank you, on their own without these mullahs killing them and controlling them. There's a lot of optimism on the ground there about that. Greg, so I'll ask that question rhetorically. If some of you want to call in and give us your thoughts on it, fine. Bring it, 545-9950. Greg, what's up, buddy? You'll be next on line one. What's going on?
Good evening. Just contemplating that question quickly.
Hold up, Greg. Are you on a speaker?
Okay.
Greg, are you on speakerphone?
I'm on my car, in my car.
Yeah, could you switch to your handheld? Could you switch to your handheld? It just sounds better on the radio. Sometimes AJ will get folks to do that.
On the radio.
Oh, now you sound luscious.
Yeah.
Now you sound like Barry White. That's good stuff. All right, go, man.
Oh, baby. Okay. Just contemplating that question. Korea was never considered a war, a police action.
Yep.
So is there you ask about a timeline, the 6-Day War, 67, Israel fighting, how many Arab nations, 7, 8, 9 of them all at once. So I don't know how you define a war. I guess I don't know. But I do know that there is a new Ayatollah that is being installed. He's being flown over right now, Kid Rock.
Oh, is he going to be the new? I hate that because I like him, and I hate and he won't last long if he's the new Ayatollah.
Well, I don't know. Maybe that's going to be the change that is needed because whatever they throw at him, I think Kid Rock and Peeps and Roaches would survive a nuclear blast.
He's a tough dude. So, Jasmine Crockett's looking for work right now since she got bounced last night. Maybe she wants to put a hat on and go try. I
hope that she remains in the public eye just simply for comic relief.
True that.
So all right. Have a good evening.
Thanks, Greg. Greg held a long time for all that. I'm sorry I had to change him up, but sometimes when y'all are on those speakerphones, it's just a little too much treble. So I asked that question sincerely because I don't have an answer. And I guess some wars can be short, some can be long. In other words, we never declared Korea or Vietnam as a war declaration from Congress, and we haven't done that since World War II. But you go to Washington, what do you see? Korean War Memorial. You see the Vietnam War Memorial. Trump has referred to the last 5 days as a war. We're at war. He's a wartime president. But and clearly they're not all the same. But I really don't know where we draw lines around it. Because I wouldn't consider the Maduro raid a war, and I don't consider the Fordham bombing a war. This looks more like a war, but I do think I'm almost 100% certain we'll be done with this within a month, probably less, especially on the schedule we're on. There's not going to be anything else for us to bomb. And if there's nothing left to shoot, we get to go home because we're not being on the ground. The people on the ground have got that figured out. There's a plan for that. They didn't announce it because the Trump administration isn't stupid like the Bush administration was. Do y'all remember this image? I'll never forget when we finally went in, and this was the second Gulf War. We had so projected when we were coming and when we were going to show up that reporters beat us to the landing on the beach. They were standing there with their cameras waiting for the craft to land and show up on the beaches down in Kuwait. So we had projected all of it. Now, it still took 3 days, but that was just to depose the Iraqi Republican Guard. They melted away like butter, and then we didn't know what to do with it. We were like a dog that caught the car they've been chasing. And then Bush decided to stay there, and we could build a government. We could build a military. And the same thing with Afghanistan. We thought we could stand up a military that could manage that country, which really, Afghanistan is not even a country. There are like 12 or 15 tribes that have been there for several thousand years, and they don't consider themselves in the same country. So there was never going to be an Afghan army. And the minute the Taliban showed up and we pulled out, that was it for them. Wasted effort. So Trump has not in any way, and what's funny is I got Condoleezza Rice on my screen, and she was part of that Bush thinking and think we could build a nation over there. And maybe you consider that optimistic or foolish, but it didn't work. It didn't work in Iraq. It didn't work in Afghanistan. You can name other countries where we're not good at installing a government. And Trump in no way, and nobody on his behalf has said that's what we're doing here. They've laid out 3 objectives in every news conference they've given, and it's crystal clear: to take out all the remnants of their nuclear capability from research to development to the actual bombs, take out all of their long-range threats in the region, that would be their missile and drone program, and to get rid of their Navy. Then they can't project a threat on their neighbors, on their people. And of course, the Israelis are the ones